Hey there, and welcome back to our Python Basics series. If you joined us for the first Python variables video, you've already laid the groundwork for writing clean, confident code. If not, there is a link in the description should you need it. Today, we're continuing that journey, with a deeper look at Python variables. In this video, you'll learn how to assign multiple values in one line, how global variables behave, and how to name your variables like a pro using styles like Pascal case, snake case, and camel case. We'll also unpack lists using variables, explore constants, and go over the official naming rules that keep your code readable and reliable. These tips will help you write smarter, more flexible Python, hopefully without overwhelming you. So grab your keyboard, get comfy, and let's head over to Visual Studio to take a look. Alright, let's jump into our file. Here we are using variables.py. The first thing I want to show you is how to assign multiple values in one line. Go ahead and type this out with me. X, Y, Z equals 1, 2, 3. Each variable gets its own value. X becomes 1, Y becomes 2, and Z becomes 3. You'd use this when you want to set up several variables at once. It's useful when the values belong together. For example, you might be working with coordinates. X, Y, and Z could represent position in 3D space. Or maybe you're tracking scores for 3 players. Each player starts with a different number. This method keeps your code clean and organized. It also saves time, because you write one line instead of 3. You'll see this pattern in games, data setups, and math problems. Anytime you need to group values, this trick comes in handy. Now let's try something slightly different. Type this next line, A equals B equals C equals 0. Here, all 3 variables, A, B, and C, are set to the same value, 0. This is super handy when you want to initialize a bunch of variables with the same starting value. You'll see this pattern a lot when setting up counters, flags, or placeholders. Alright, pause here if you need to catch up, and when you're ready, we'll move on to global variables. Now let's look at what a global variable is in Python, and why it can be both helpful and risky. A global variable is simply a variable that's defined outside of any function. That means it's accessible from anywhere in your code, even inside functions. In this example you see on screen, we've created a variable at the top of the code called counter. This is a global variable, meaning it exists outside of any function and can be accessed from anywhere in the code. Next, we have a function called increment. Inside that function, we use the global keyword before counter. That's Python's way of saying, hey, I want to use the global version of counter, not create a new local one. It's important to understand that without the global keyword, Python would treat counter as a brand new local variable. That means it would only exist inside the function and wouldn't affect the original counter defined outside. So why use global variables at all? Here are a few good reasons. They're accessible from anywhere in your code. This makes them great for shared settings like flags or counters. They can simplify small scripts. And they're quick to implement. For quick scripts or shared constants, globals can be super handy. But here's the catch. Global variables can cause trouble, especially in larger projects. They're harder to debug. There's a risk of accidental changes. They reduce modularity, meaning your code becomes less organized and harder to reuse. They increase the chance of name conflicts. And they can lead to messy, unpredictable code. Imagine trying to track down a bug caused by a variable that's been changed in 5 different places. Yikes. Now that we've explored what global variables are, let's move on to naming styles for multi-word variable names. Okay, let's start by looking at single-word variable names. In Python, the convention is simple. Use lowercase letters. Keep the name descriptive, but concise. Avoid abbreviations, unless they're widely understood. These rules follow Python's PEP 8 style guide. It recommends lowercase for variable names. But if you're naming a class, use Pascal case instead. Now, let's move on to multi-word variable names. Python doesn't enforce a strict style for these. But staying consistent is important. Here are 3 common naming styles. Pascal case is used for class names. Each word starts with a capital letter. There are no underscores. Snake case is the standard style for variables and functions in Python. Words are lowercase and separated by underscores. Then there's camel case. This style is popular in other languages, like JavaScript. The first word starts lowercase. Each following word starts with a capital letter. Here's a tip. Stick with snake case for variables and functions and Pascal case for class names. It's the preferred style in the Python community, and it follows the PEP 8 guidelines. Just in case you're wondering, PEP 8 is the official style guide for writing Python code. It stands for Python Enhancement Proposal Number 8. It was created to help developers write code that's clean, readable, and consistent. Following PEP 8 makes your code easier to read and easier to share with other developers. It's not enforced by Python itself, but it's considered best practice in the Python community. Okay, let's quickly go over Python's variable naming rules. Here's a quick checklist to keep your variable names valid. A variable name must start with a letter or an underscore. It cannot start with a number. It can, however, include letters, numbers, and underscores. Variable names are case sensitive. Always keep that in mind when working with variables. And finally, a variable name cannot be a Python keyword. That includes words like for, if, or class. Let's go to our command terminal and go through how you can get the keyword list. We've switched over to the command prompt terminal. If you've watched our other videos, you already know how to get here. As you can see, I've entered the Python terminal. Now, I want to show you a quick way to avoid using Python's reserved keywords as variable names. Just type import keyword. Then type print keyword.kwlist. Just like I've done on screen here. This command will display all the reserved keywords in Python. Words like for, if, class, and while. These are special words that Python uses to define its syntax and structure. Because they have built-in meaning, you can't use them as variable names. Running this command helps you see the full list, so you can avoid naming conflicts in your code. While we're in the terminal, let's walk through how to unpack a list using multiple variable assignment in Python. First, we'll create a list called colors. A list is a type of data structure in Python that can hold multiple values. In this case, we'll store 3 color names inside the list. As you can see on screen, we've created a list with 3 items, red, green, and blue, and we've stored them in a variable named colors. Now, let's unpack that list into 3 separate variables. Type R, G, B equals colors. This tells Python to assign each item in the list to a variable, in order. So R will hold red, G will hold green, and B will hold blue. This technique is called multiple variable assignment. It's a clean and efficient way to extract values from a list or a tuple. You can now use each variable individually in your code. For example, try typing print R, or print G, or print B. Each one will display the word associated with that variable, just like you see on screen. This approach is especially useful when working with structured data, and it helps keep your code readable and organized. Let's take this a step further. Each variable normally grabs one item from a list, in order. But what if you want to capture a group of items in the middle? Python makes that easy using the asterisk symbol. Let's try it out. Type first, middle, last equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's what's happening. The variable first gets the first item in the list, which is 1. The variable last gets the final item, which is 5. And the variable middle, with the asterisk, grabs everything in between. So middle becomes a list. 2, 3, 4. This is called extended unpacking. It's a great way to improve readability and avoid manually slicing or indexing lists. Now you can work with just the parts of the list you need, using clean and simple code. Great job so far. Feel free to pause here if you need to catch up, or take a moment to experiment with what you've learned. When you're ready, come back, and we'll finish up by looking at constants in Python. Now we're looking at Python constants, fixed values that speak loudly in your code. A constant is a variable that's meant to stay the same throughout your program. Python doesn't enforce constants, but developers follow a naming convention to show their intent. Constants are written in all caps, with underscores between words. For example, on screen you'll see a constant named max_retries. It's written in all caps with an underscore, just like the convention suggests. This tells anyone reading your code, this value is important, and it shouldn't change. So, why use constants? Clarity, names like max retries are easier to understand than raw numbers. Consistency, you define the value once, and use it everywhere. Safety, it helps reduce accidental changes. And it's team-friendly, all caps signals intent to other developers. Here's an important note. Python won't stop you from changing a constant. For example, you could write, max retries equals 5. Then change it to 10. Python allows this, but it's considered bad practice. The idea behind constants is to say, hey, I'm important, don't change me. And because we all follow the same convention, other developers will understand that too. So always treat constants with care and respect. Let's wrap up with a few best practices. Don't overuse them, keep your code clean and focused. Use all caps for constants. Define them at the top of your script, or in a config file. And only use them for values that truly shouldn't change. Okay, we've covered enough for this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us keep making beginner-friendly content. All the useful links are in the description below, including the variables.py cheat sheet, a link to Variables Part 1 video, and a direct link to the Variables section from the website to accompany this video. Feel free to explore, review, and follow along at your own pace. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.